Isiolo is a sham, null and void, and of no legal consequence to warrant admissibility, interrogation, or any other action of the Senate. Hence, the same should be struck out in limine. In response to the preliminary objection raised by the advocate for the governor, the firm of Alex and Boniface Advocates LLP, advocates for the County Assembly of Isiolo, stated in writing the following. A, that the preliminary objection raised by the governor do not meet the threshold of a pure point of law as established by the time-honored case of Mukisa Biscuit Manufacturing Company Limited versus West End Its Distributors, 1969 EA 696. B, that with regard to the first preliminary objection, the question of court orders that seek to prevent the Senate from fulfilling its constitutional duties has been settled by the Supreme Court of Kenya in Mate and another versus Wambora and another, 2017, KCSC 1, KLR, and the Court of Appeal in Mwangaza versus County Assembly of Meru and another, Council of Governors, Interested Party 2023, KECA 1599, KLR, where the two courts held that courts lack jurisdiction and are forbidden from interfering with the constitutional mandate of county assemblies and the Senate. That on the same question, the Speaker of the Senate recently ruled during the impeachment proceeding the former Deputy President that any injunction interfering with the work of Parliament has no effect on Parliament in the exercise of its constitutional functions. That consequently, the Senate, through the Speaker of the Senate, ought to dismiss the preliminary objection and proceed unabated, unfettered, and unhindered, in line with the established precedents affirmed by both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. That in respect to the second preliminary objection, whether there was a sitting of the County Assembly to table, debate, pass, or vote on the motion for removal of governor from office by way of impeachment, the same is purely a factual and evidential matter that can only be resolved at the full hearing. That the governor's request for preliminary inquiry or trial within a trial is untenable, as it is a misguided attempt to obstruct and derail the proper proceedings of the House, and it is only necessary when the subject matter of the mini-trial cannot be established in the full trial. That on the alleged fraud and forgery relating to the Hansel reports, fraud must be specifically pleaded, and particulars of the fraud alleged must be stated on the face of the pleadings. Moreover, considering that the standard of proof of fraud is more than a balance of probability, the allegations can only be established after a full trial. That the second preliminary objection is fatally defective and ought to be disallowed in the best interests of justice. That in respect to the third preliminary objection, whether the impeachment motion meets the criteria and legal threshold under Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and the standing orders of the Isiolo County Assembly, the issue can only be determined once the Senate has interrogated all the facts and evidence in the impeachment motion against the standard of impeachment as laid out by the Supreme Court in Sonko versus County Assembly of Nairobi City and 11 others, 2022 KESC 76 KLR. That the third preliminary objection is also fatally defective, as it calls upon the interrogation of the merits of the impeachment motion at a preliminary stage, before the Senate has had the opportunity to hear the witnesses and consider the evidence laid by the parties. That the preliminary objections ought to be dismissed and the matter proceeds to a full trial for a determination on the merits. Now, Honorable Senators, counsel for the parties have this morning made oral submissions on the preliminary objections and responses thereto, following which a number of senators, including Senator Aaron Cheriot, Senator Daniel Manzo, Senator Karungo Thangwa, Senator Tomo Jenda, Senator Danson Mungatana, Senator Osotsi, Senator Samson Chirangay, Senator Eno Kombua, Senator Wakili Sigei, Senator Catherine Muma, Senator Alexander Mundigi, Senator Agnes Gavindu, Senator Karen Nyamu, Senator Okio Mtata, Senator John Methu, Senator Peris Tobiko, Senator Mwenda Gataya, Senator A.C. Okenyuri sought clarifications on the same. In the clarifications, the senators ought to be informed, among other things, the identity of the clerk of the County Assembly, whether there was a sitting of the County Assembly of Isiolo on the impeachment process, and whether the Hansard recording of the Assembly's proceedings was submitted to the Senate in full and its validity in the proceedings before the Senate. The status of the decision of the High Court to nullify the proceedings of the County Assembly, whether the proceedings of the County Assembly are transmitted or broadcast live, the deployment of security officers at the County Assembly, whether the impeachment motion that was quashed by the High Court is the same motion submitted to the Senate, and its validity for impeachment proceedings against the governor, whether the sittings of the County Assembly were properly convened, whether or not there was a court order issued against the County Assembly on the impeachment process. Subsequently, Counsel for the County Assembly gave responses to the questions and clarifications sought by senators by stating inter alia that the governor captured the clerk, and that the County Assembly had evidence in this respect, and that the impeachment process ought to proceed, that the preliminary objections are primarily founded on issues of law, and that the County Assembly had witnessed statement to counter the allegations made by the governor, that the County Assembly held sittings to impeach the governor, and evidence on the same will be adduced, that the Supreme Court, in case of Martin Nyaga Ombora, gave guidance in respect to incomplete impeachment proceedings. Likewise, Counsel for the Governor responded to the issues raised by senators by stating inter alia that with respect to the question relating to the work, relating to who the clerk of the County Assembly is, the County Assembly's own submissions in Volume 5 and page 8 settled the matter, that there were no sittings of the County Assembly, and that affidavits of the deponents in the proceeding indicated that there were no sitting of the County Assembly, that no appeal has been lodged on the court orders against the County Assembly, and that the motion before the Senate was the same motion declared null and void by the High Court. Arising from the preliminary issues canvassed, the following are the issues that require determination by the Senate. 1. Whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 to table, debate, pass or vote on a motion for a proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Isiolo County. And 2, whether in light of the court orders nullifying the proceedings of the County Assembly of 26th June 2025, the Senate is able to proceed with a hearing on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Isiolo County. Honorable Senators, it is not in doubt that the trial court in impeachment matters is the Senate. Accordingly, the preliminary objection raised by the Counsel for the Governor will be determined by a vote of the Senate. The procedure for proceeding to this vote will be by a motion in the usual manner, preceded by a notice of motion. The vote will be taken upon the conclusion of debate. To this end, I have directed the clerk to prepare and circulate a supplementary order paper containing 2 notices of motion and the respective motions speaking to each of the preliminary issues raised. Honorable Senators, the decision on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of a county governor and any consequential or incidental decision thereto are matters concerning counties, and accordingly, and has been previously ruled, in all the impeachment processes undertaken by the Senate, these decisions are made by the Senate by vote by county delegations. Accordingly, the preliminary issues will be upheld only if supported by the votes of at least 24 delegations. It is clear that if the preliminary issue contesting whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 to table, debate, pass and or vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the governor of Isiolo County is upheld, this impeachment shall terminate forthwith, and it will not be necessary to proceed on the motion or vote on the second preliminary issue, as doing so will be an academic exercise. If, however, the first preliminary issue is negatived, the Senate will proceed to consider and determine the motion on the preliminary issue relating to the court orders and their effect. It is so directed. Thank you. Yes, Council.
Clarification from you, Mr. Speaker. During the proceedings that took place earlier on today, we as Council for the County Assembly understood, Mr. Speaker, as having directed that the members of this House, when they retire, to consider the preliminary objections you have just framed for their consideration, will have the benefit of listening to the audio of the proceedings in question. Mr. Speaker, when my colleagues who I act with for the County Assembly attempted to supply the audio to the Office of the Clerk was of the view that they did not hear you make the direction in respect of this audio being available for the members of this House to consider, and they asked us to come back to you and ask you to make an express direction to that effect. Mr. Speaker, I am on my feet this evening asking that that direction be made so that the material before members is complete, pursuant to directions that you had made earlier on. Thank you very much.
Honorable Counsel, maybe there was a misunderstanding. My directive was to the effect that while the senators retire to deliberate on this matter, they will also exercise their minds on the two videos that had been played. That was my understanding. That was my understanding. And that's why I upheld and agreed to the request that was made, so that the senators can look at those two videos that had been played.
Mr. Speaker, when Mr. Mawira was on his feet, I believe he asked the question directly, direction that suggested that even the audio should be supplied to the Office of the Clerk for that purpose.
Well, there is certainly no way we can accept further evidence that had not been submitted as part and parcel of your bundle of evidence.
I am guided, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 2, notices of motion.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to give notice of the following motion, which is preliminary issues on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 on the proposed removal from office by way of impeachment of the Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, Governor of Isiolo County, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Amendment Act, on Thursday the 26th of June 2025, the County Assembly of Isiolo approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County, and further whereas by letter reference CA RES Volume 1/001 dated 26 June 2025 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 27th of June 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Isiolo informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of the 16 out of 18 members of the County Assemblies that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. Noting that a preliminary issue was raised by the Governor of Isiolo County on whether the County of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 to table, debate, pass, and or vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary issue raised on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 to table, debate, pass, and or vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County and accordingly terminates the proceedings for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, I have the second motion on the second PO.
Proceed.
Can I proceed?
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give notice of the following motion. Further, this is a preliminary issue on the court orders on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, Governor of Isiolo County, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Thursday, the 26th of June 2025, the County Assembly of Isiolo approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. And further, whereas by letter reference CA/RES/volume .1/001, dated 26th of June 2025 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 27th of June 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Isiolo informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of 16 out of 18 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County, noting that a preliminary issue was raised by the Governor of Isiolo County on whether, in light of the court orders nullifying the Senate proceedings, the County Assembly, by the proceedings of the County Assembly on 26 June 2025, the Senate is able to proceed with the hearings on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary issue raised in light of the court orders nullifying the proceedings of the County Assembly of 26 June 2025 and accordingly terminates the proceedings for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 3, motion, preliminary issue on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on 18th June 2025 and 26th June 2025 on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, Governor of Isiolo County.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion, which is a motion on the preliminary issue on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th June 2025 on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. That whereas the pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Thursday, the 26th, 2025, the County Assembly of Isiolo approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County, and further whereas by letter reference CA/RES Volume 1/001, dated 26th of June 2025 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 27th of June 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Isiolo informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of 16 out of 18 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of the Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, Governor of Isiolo County, noting that a preliminary issue was raised by the Governor of Isiolo County on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th January 2025 and 26th June 2025 to table, debate, pass, and vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary issue raised on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on the 18th of June 2025 and 26th of June 2025 to table, debate, pass, and or vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County and accordingly terminates the proceedings for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, there are certain things that I want to set on record first about this particular motion. One is that to me this is a procedural motion, which as duty will have me, as leader of majority in the House, I get to move this motion. It does not necessarily mean that I believe in what the motion is asking the House to do. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, it is also important for it to go on record that we have split the two POs like you've explained in your communication to the House. But just for emphasis' sake, that we will be invited to debate two motions. And I like the emphasis, because I listened to you much as I was not seated here, that you gave that should this motion pass in the affirmative, then there will be no need even to go to the second motion, because it will mean these proceedings have terminated. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter which I want to invite colleague senators to sit, listen, and reason with me. That's why I had to give the first disclaimer, Mr. Speaker, because Isiolo is one of the 47 devolved units. When we come into this House, we don't swear to protect the interest of the specific counties that vote us to come to this House. It's the interest of devolution in the country of Kenya. Isiolo is part and parcel of Kenya. They have brought very serious issues to this House, Mr. Speaker. Issues that require very serious perusal. I don't think there's another county that you can think of that has two clerks, I think two speakers. I'm not sure whether there's another governor besides the one who's here. There are serious issues in this county, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, to reduce this matter to be purely just a procedural issue of whether there was a sitting or not, to me, then justice will have aborted, Mr. Speaker. I strongly hold the view that for us to serve justice to the people of Isiolo, Mr. Speaker, and this, you know, sometimes I agonize over the things that you have to do in leadership, Mr. Speaker, because I explained this and have said I'm moving this motion procedurally, Mr. Speaker, as expected. All motions have to be moved in the positive, then the House either negates or affirms what has been proposed to the House. And it's not every other day, Mr. Speaker, that I get to move a motion, but then move on to argue why that particular motion, Mr. Speaker, should be defeated. I think perhaps this is either the first or the second time. I haven't done this before, but it's with a heavy heart because I have taken time. While the debates have been going on the POs, Mr. Speaker, I took time to also read the documents that have been brought before us, the things that the people of Isiolo are saying. In fact, I want to invite colleague senators to read the largest bundle of documents, that very fat file. It contains the things that residents of Isiolo say during the public participation, that they have high hope in this House, Mr. Speaker, that we will grant them justice, that they will have an opportunity to correct a decision they made on the 8th of August 2025. Whichever way, Mr. Speaker, that when you eventually consider these matters, they will feel that their county can work like a normal county. As it is, Mr. Speaker, if we move ahead and make this decision at this particular point, in the affirmative, and say that we confirm this PO, and therefore we send these people back to Isiolo, what exactly are we sending them to do? What does it say of us as a House, Mr. Speaker? That people can argue, appear before us, and I speak like this, Mr. Speaker, because I've been a victim of this process. When the people of Kericho came before this House last year in October, the case terminated at PO level. And I can tell you, many of those issues that were not solved at that particular time continue to occur even today as we speak, Mr. Speaker. And I wouldn't wish that the same happens to Isiolo County, Mr. Speaker. I wouldn't wish that it happened in any of the 47 counties, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to plead with colleagues that this is an opportunity that you are being granted. I don't know what the hurry will be about. And like I had said in the morning, Mr. Speaker, we don't have, as a House, the procedure for threshold of appeal that reaches the level where we have to determine by way of voting, especially POs that in their consideration would actually render the process fatal, Mr. Speaker. And that is something for us as a House we need to retreat and consider in terms of our procedure. Mr. Speaker. From history, since I came to this House, Mr. Speaker, this will only be the second time today that we are actually voting on a PO and terminating an impeachment hearing at a PO level if this motion was to pass as is, Mr. Speaker. The first one was in the case in Kericho. This will be the second time. I don't believe, Mr. Speaker, that that is justice. Justice shouldn't be that simplistic. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that there is a way in which the spirit of the Constitution does not just guide us by letter on what to do, but also by spirit, that this is a house of reflection, where when two entities of the same government, between the executive and the assembly of Isiolo, argue and they present their issues before you, you sit as a neutral arbiter and observe. It doesn't mean, Mr. Speaker, that eventually, I don't know how members will vote on the issue of whether to uphold the impeachment or otherwise. But at least, at the very least, Mr. Speaker, we owe the people of Isiolo a chance to listen to them, Mr. Speaker. We owe them an opportunity to air their issues, Mr. Speaker. We need to understand, Mr. Speaker, how did we end up with two clerks in one assembly? What was the process that was followed? I have seen bundles in the document that actually, that there is even the gazettement, while the impeachment of the governor was going on, there appears to have been a separate impeachment, Mr. Speaker, of the same county assembly as well. I don't know which assembly voted. Then it appears perhaps maybe there are two assemblies as well in this particular county. That points that there are serious issues. Colleagues, I want to plead with you. The decision is ultimately yours. I have only one vote out of the 47 delegations that are in this House. But as a leader in this House, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with you that these issues are not as light as somebody will want to determine them and say, do we find out? And by the way, make no mistake, colleagues, I'm not asking of you to pass judgment based on the very elementary issue of whether there was an impeachment process that followed the due process of law, Mr. Speaker, or not. I am only saying, given that these issues arose at PO level, Mr. Speaker, you haven't had the opportunity at the time. You saw the struggle of the Council for County Assembly just minutes ago, Mr. Speaker, asking, I thought I had him right, by the way, and I'm not being biased, but I'm saying what I had, the council who spoke when he presented the issue, I thought they asked you that you allow them, Mr. Speaker, for them to produce the Hansard of the assembly sittings on that day. And my hearing at that particular time was that actually you had accepted. But I'm not challenging your decision where you have said the time for production of evidence is over. But if we grant them this opportunity, you will make an even more informed decision, colleagues. Because at that time, you will now be able to determine whether indeed there was a sitting on the 18th and there was a sitting on the 26th, Mr. Speaker, that eventually led to the impeachment of this governor. When we go the full process, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is not a very easy exercise. This is a moment where I know each senator uses very different ways to arrive at a decision. But much as this motion, Mr. Speaker, proposes that we confirm, I want to ask of the House that we give justice to the people of Isiolo. Listen to their issues. Then eventually make a determination based on what you have seen, on the evidence that has been presented before you. You know, Mr. Speaker, when we eventually consider that earlier matter that I raised on the threshold for a PO that can be fatal to an impeachment hearing here in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, perhaps we can put it in law that even if we make that determination, then allow us to at least listen to some of the issues and propose solutions, even if I don't believe necessarily that the end of an impeachment process should just be about removal or staying in office of a county government. There are other administrative issues that we can address as a House. It will be possible, Mr. Speaker, to establish and understand many of these things that have been raised before involving government officials, Mr. Speaker. There are police officers that have sworn affidavits. It will be good to understand what is their reasoning. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will be proposing to the House, even after this particular process, that let us not handle another impeachment without considering this process that we began in October of last year and making an amendment, even if it means amending our standing orders, Mr. Speaker. We need to amend our standing orders so that an impeachment process does not terminate, Mr. Speaker, at PO level. It is not a good thing. And I have said that today. I said it during the time for Kericho. I will say it in the future because that's what I believe. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to leave it to colleagues to reflect and consider. Today is Isiolo. Tomorrow it may be your county. When you get an opportunity to present your issues before this House, there is a way through which even citizens of your county will expect that this House treats these particular matters. Mr. Speaker, I've been in the House long enough to understand when colleagues begin to tell you that we have heard you and we know what we need to do. I believe in moving this motion, I have reached that particular point because I can hear the consultations and I can read also what the faces are saying, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, with those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the Senator of Kilifi, the leader of minority, Senator Justice Retired Stewart Mazayo, to second me in this motion, Mr. Speaker, and lead the House in making the right decision. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza najua tuko katika hali ya panda mbili, kwa sababu yaliyoko mbele yetu ni mazito, lakini kwa sababu hii ndio kazi mojawapo ambao maseneta ni lazima waifanye, ni jukumu langu pia mimi kuweza kuunga mkono yote aliyosema kiongozi wa walio wengi, ya kwamba iliyoko hapa ni hoja ya kumngatua gavana kutoka kwa mamlaka, lakini hivi sasa ni kuweza kukamilisha ama kuweza kujadiliana na kujua tutaendelea ama hatutaendelea na hii kesi, kwa sababu ya yale ambayo yamewekwa mbele yetu. Kitu cha kwanza ambacho mimi ningependa kufahamisha waseneta wenzangu ni jambo la kwamba mashtaka yaliyoko mbele yetu ni mashtaka yana uzito sana, ambapo yakipatikana kama ni ukweli, basi hatua ile itakayochukuliwa ni kukubaliana na kile ile preliminary objection ambayo iko hapa ama kuikataa. Kuna uzito wa aina yake. Kwa hiyo katika uamuzi wetu sisi tunatakana tufahamu, tuangalie na tupime na tuone ya kweli kuna shida ndani ya Isiolo County. Ndugu zetu wa Isiolo, ni jambo la kusikitisha hivi sasa ikiwa tunaweza kujadiliana mahali ambapo mngekuwa mlikaa nyinyi wenyewe mkaelewana, na alafu hii mambo haingefika hapa. Kwa hiyo kisu kata pande zote mbili. Sisi tutajaribu kufanya vile tutakavyofanya ama kujadiliana, na hatimaye mwisho tutachukua hatua. Mstahiki Spika, kitu cha kwanza, kitu cha pili ambacho pia vile napenda kuongea ni kwa sababu kumekuwa na sintofahamu za mikutano. Mawakili waliokuwa hapa mbele yetu wameweza kusema, wengine wanasema kumekuwa na mikutano, zile documents ama yale stakabadhi zote ambazo mmetupatia hapa tuziangalie, pia vile zilikuwa na record zake vile zinasema. Wengine walisema kwamba kulikuwa na mikutano, wengine wanasema hakukuwa na mikutano. Kwa hiyo tunataka kusema ya kwamba hili ni jambo ambalo tutaamua, na ni jambo gumu na litagusia mambo mengi ambayo inaweza kuona ya kwamba watu wa Isiolo wapate haki yao. Bwana Spika, nataka pia kuongezea ya kwamba wakati tukisimamisha kulinganishana na hii preliminary objection, tujue ya kwamba tutakuwa tumechukua hatua ya juu sana. Vile ikiwa tutaachilia, pia tutakuwa tumechukua hatua ya juu, kwa sababu mashtaka yaliyoko hapa, ile impeachment, kumng'atua gavana, ni kwamba gavana hatakuwa na, tunaona vile tu ambavyo impeachment vile huwa, ama mashtaka vile huwa, ambayo gavana aking'atuliwa kwenye mamlaka huwa hana mbele ama hana nyuma kwa kuenda ama kufanya chochote. Atakuwa hana haki yeye hata kushika kazi ndani ya ofisi ama kupewa kazi yoyote. Kwa hiyo ni jukumu letu sisi kuangalia, je, mashtaka haya yako na haki ya kuendelea ama hayana haki ya kuendelea, kulinganishana na zile stakabadhi ambazo tuko nazo mbele zetu. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naona huu ni mtihani mkubwa sana kwa bunge la Senate, lakini niko na imani na hili bunge la Senate, kwa sababu wote walioko hapa, wengi wetu tukiwa kama sisi ni mawakili, wengine wakiwa ni wafanyi biashara na watu waliobobea zaidi, tuko na magavana ambao wameweza kutoka huko katika kaunti zao, wako hapa ndani pia, wataweza kutueleza katika ujuzi wao waliokuwa nao. Bwana mstahiki Spika, mimi naona hili ni jambo ambalo sisi sote lazima tuzingatie, na mimi nikiwa nitasimama hapa nikiunga mkono kiongozi wa walio wengi kwa hoja hii, ni kwamba sote nyoyo zetu tuziweke wazi, sote tuangalie hii kesi kamilifu, na sote tuwe na uwezo wa kuamua haki ili itendeke. Na niko na imani vile wa Kenya wote ambao wako na imani na bunge la Senate, leo ni mtihani mkubwa sana kuona ya kwamba sisi tutasimamia haki, kuona ya kwamba kama ni udhaifu ambao umeletewa gavana, tunaweza kusimamisha. Kama ni udhaifu umeletewa watu wa Isiolo, tunaweza kusimamisha. Kwa hiyo sisi tunasema ya kwamba tutatenda haki kulinganishana na vile tulivyoinua katiba, na tukasema tutatendea katiba kama kiongozi wa nchi yetu. Asante Bwana Spika, naunga mkono.
Now, honorable senators, before I proceed to propose the question, just a little advice to our majority leader. I fully understand your pains. However, going forward, if you have some misgivings because of your personal persuasion and you're called upon to move such a motion, kindly delegate. It'll save a lot of pains because you're almost tearing. I could see you're almost tearing, and that will help you. So, honorable senators, will now proceed to propose the question that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Thursday, 26 June 2025, the County Assembly of Isiolo approved a motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. And further, whereas by a letter reference CA/RES/Volume 1/001, dated 26 June 2025, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on 27 June 2025, the Speaker of the County Assembly of Isiolo informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly, including the list of 16 out of 18 members of the County Assembly that voted in favor of the removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. Noting that a preliminary issue was raised by the Governor of Isiolo County on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on 18th June 2025 and 26 June 2025 to table, debate, pass, and all vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to uphold the preliminary issue raised on whether the County Assembly of Isiolo held sittings on 18th June 2025 and 26 June 2025 to table, debate, pass, or vote on the motion for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Governor of Isiolo County. and accordingly terminates the proceedings for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Hassan, the Governor of Isiolo County. Now, Honorable Senators, the floor is open for debate. Yes, certainly it cannot be a point of order. Senator Methu.
Clarification, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I raised pursuant to Standing Order 111 of our own standing orders, Mr. Speaker, on limitation of debate. I need not to buttress the fact that this will be an extremely important motion, and I'm sure many colleagues would want to comment on this motion, especially on the fact of the fatality of the process if this motion was to be carried. I'm sure many colleagues would want to comment on this motion, and if each of us was to take 15 minutes, certainly it will really take us a lot of time. Number two, Mr. Speaker, also, I have seen and have had a look at the schedule that you had already given on how we shall conduct this impeachment hearing of Governor Guyo. And I think, Mr. Speaker, we are way behind the schedule that we had already given, Mr. Speaker. On dispensing the preliminary objection, Mr. Speaker, I think it was not meant to take this long. So therefore, I want to propose, if it is agreeable to colleagues here so that we can have as many colleagues comment on this matter, that debate is limited to 4 minutes so that it can be accommodative to, well, it's allowed.
Honorable Senators, allow the Senator to move his motion for limitation, and thereafter we will see if he can strike a consensus on the time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I see that many colleagues are actually proposing 3, and I am also agreeable that we agree to 3 so that many people can be able to comment, and so that we can be able to be accommodative. We can condense our thoughts and have them in 3 minutes. If this motion is not carried, then the rest of what we want to say, we can say it in the main motion if this motion is not carried. Maybe if you allow me, Mr. Speaker, I will invite my leader, Honorable Wambua, to second.
Mr. Speaker, I second the proposal to limit debate to 3 minutes.
Now, Honorable Senators, to save time, if we have a consensus, we need not to go through the procedural motions to prosecute this motion. It has been suggested that each senator getting to the floor to speak under 3 minutes. If that is the consensus, then we proceed. So 3 minutes it is. The Senator for Nairobi City County, Senator Edwin Sifuna. Before you speak, Senator for Nairobi City County, what is your clarification, Senator Maruma?
Maybe I would like to request that instead of all of us really debating, because this is a PO, then you can limit to maybe 6 from both sides, so that don't use a lot of time.
Now, Honorable Senators, the motion as proposed by Senator Methu has been dispensed with. We are not going to amend midway. Senator for Nairobi City County, you may proceed.
Honorable Speaker, when we come here and take oath there to uphold the law, there really is no room for sentiment. You have to do what is right by the law. It doesn't matter what personal feelings you have. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem with the way this motion was framed, because the question as to whether there was a sitting on the 26th has already been answered by the Assembly itself. The Assembly has told us that, in fact, there was no sitting on the 26th because of the circumstances. That is the truth. Secondly, the reason why I feel like this is a moot question. As a lawyer, I took an oath on the 2nd of October in 2008 to uphold the Constitution and the law. Impeachment processes are guided by the Constitution and the law. If a court of competent jurisdiction has said it doesn't matter whether there was a sitting on 26th or not, whatever happened that day is null and void. There's nothing to discuss. It is that simple. So for me, Honorable Speaker, I am very clear in my mind, there has been a tacit concession by the Assembly that in fact there was no sitting. There is a second limb that in fact there is a court decision.
Senator for Nairobi City
Yes.
County, That is the second motion that is yet to be moved.
I
Restrict yourself
understand,
to the
Honorable Speaker, these two matters are related.
Yes,
I was
but
speaking to the motion.
I've given a guidance that we
I was
prosecute.
speaking to the motion. The motion is whether there was a sitting, and the question of whether it is a question to be put anyway is what I am addressing, Honorable Speaker, with due respect. I have had senior colleagues in the profession, and I have tremendous respect for all of them. It will be the darkest day, Honorable Speaker, when me, as a lawyer who's also an appointed officer of the court, the person who has been crying all over the place saying we need to respect the rule of law, and that the cornerstone of rule of law is obedience of court orders. I was one of the lawyers for Miguna. We got almost 12 court orders. They were all disobeyed by some people now who are running around telling us about court orders in this country. So, Honorable Speaker, for me, the question as to whether there was a sitting has already been answered by the Assembly themselves. And the answer can be played back. You will hear counsel admitting that, in fact, the circumstances on that day did not favor a sitting. They have had to go and repair and look for Hansard material because of that circumstance that he told us about. If you don't follow procedure, Honorable Speaker, it doesn't really matter. These conversations that the majority leader was inviting us to have, we have committees of this House whose work is to look into affairs of county governments. And in fact, we have done it in the county of Nyamira.